Hey everyone, how's it going? Not sure this music's working for me. Hang on, let's change something. There we go. That's better. How's it going, everybody? Nice to see you all again. Thanks for stopping by. Oh gosh, that's loud in my ears. Hang on. Bloody hell. Cool. It's supposed to be background music. Danielle, hello mate. How's it going? Thanks for dropping by. It's a Friday. It can only mean a few different things. One of them is I might stream, which is always nice. It's good fun. I enjoy it. I hope you guys do as well. Let's hopefully see if we get some more people in here. I don't have a massive plan for today. Let's put my monitor on. I always forget this part. I hear myself in my headphones that way. I thought I'd pop on and we can have a chat. We can talk about stuff, you know, learning to code, working on things, what's going on. Keep doing your content, mate. Thank you. I'm not planning on stopping. As tough as it gets. I do enjoy it. Mostly. Yeah, we can talk about anything. We can talk about data. We can talk about apps. We can talk about web scraping. You can ask me questions. Of course you can ask me questions. Go for it. This is a free and open forum of which hopefully people can help with questions, not just me. Yeah, go ahead. I'll do my best. Got a few things I can talk about as well. We get going a bit more. A few people join in maybe. And secretly, before everyone else gets in, I've got bets on someone asking me about Discord, someone asking me about Go, and someone asking an impossible web scraping question. So Danielle, which one's it gonna be? Or is it just gonna be a normal question? Oh, good. Oh yeah, yeah. Whenever you need to use a browser, it's heavy, man. That's the problem. That is the problem. Can you have private Discord profiles in Go? Alexander, I'm assuming that is an absolute serious question. In which case, the answer is absolutely, but I'm not going to tell you how. My experience, to go back to the actual. To go back to the Selenium clip, my experience with running Selenium on VPS is pretty abysmal. If I do that, you really need a decent machine, because ideally you want to run lots of different instances. I know it's not a serious question. I know, Alex. I know. I recognise your name, mate. I got your number. It's running loads of browsers is heavy. I mean, just ask any cheap laptop to run a few tabs of Chrome and it's just shit out of luck. is there not another way that you can do it? Like maybe the data's somewhere else that you can get. I don't know. It's tough, man. Oh, that's the wrong way. Hang on, sorry. A couple of different monitors myself here. Yeah. That's a difficult one. I have done it. It's just really slow. I've done it on a Raspberry Pi, which has got, well, the one that I've got's got like, is it 4 gig? Because it's just it's too difficult to do it on a low one. Which, to be honest, I kind of don't take on projects that need Selenium or Playwright or stuff really, unless it's a simple thing. I tend to use it for if I have to really convince the website that I'm a browser. I'll load one up and then I'll just take it from there. So I only have to load up one page really. Are you doing code and GitHub project reviews? Yeah, I'd love to do that actually. That's a really cool idea. Trying to find people that are brave enough to send me their... Oh, there's 2 things actually. People that want to send me their code for a start so I can review it. And also, what if they're better than me? What do I do then? Do I just say it's really good and move on just quietly? Oh yeah, mate. Yeah, you're doing a great job, mate. That's it. Don't need me, mate. You're way ahead. I guess that's what I do. Lord Hockey, hello, mate. Welcome back. Nice to see you again. What do you do when there's no items and there's no API? Well, that really depends on what the site is. One thing that I find is that sometimes you really have to click around to get it to show itself. I can't remember what site it was, and even if I could, I probably couldn't tell you. But I had to I was looking for it, and it was obviously a JavaScript front end. I was like, well, you're getting the data from somewhere. So, but I couldn't find it on the actual page where the target data was. I was like, oh, it's not, what's going on? And I had to just click around, and I moved off to different pages, different parts of the site, and then I found it. And then I was able to reverse engineer it. So maybe you can try that. You made a script to scrape every populated place in your country because there was no available list. Hey, sounds like a great project to me. Super. How's the video and audio quality, by the way? It looks like on my end it's dipped a bit. No, actually it looks alright. Just must be my thingamajig. All good. Yeah, Heroku's killing their free plan. I know. That's where everybody's beginner project went to die. I feel sad. I'm going to have a few things that are no longer going to work anymore. Well, more than a few. Don't know what to do. Actually, I do know what to do. I just use DigitalOcean now. I'm pretty sure DigitalOcean's app platform, which is like Heroku, it's a platform as a service, it used to be $5 a month. I think it's actually $3 a month now. Yeah, I can check right now. I'm afraid we're gonna have to start shelling out some hard-earned for this sort of stuff. I mean, free was going to be like, oh, you can migrate to Railway. I've never heard of Railway. 5 credit amount. Okay, I'm sure there's going to be free solutions. The only thing I don't like about, and this isn't, I don't know Railway at all, so because that'd be 100% legit, and I'm sure it is. The only thing I don't like about stuff that isn't prominent as much is that I don't know what they're doing with whatever I'm doing. So things like Linode and DigitalOcean I know are like 100% no BS, legit. Oh no, it's $5 a month for prototyping. What are you going to do? You get 3 free static sites though. Not that we need that because we can just do that through like Netlify and GitHub. Yeah, so goodbye Heroku. No free plan. That's a shame. Ironically, I had done most of the work for a video which ended up with something on the free Heroku plan. So there you go. You notice that Selenium is less bannable. It can be. It depends. It's because you're opening up a real browser instance. Things like is it Selenium Stealth, or is it Puppeteer Stealth that's got ported over? That does help. I don't like it though because it's just too slow. I mean, for me, if I would rather use Selenium or Playwright or something like that for actual automation. So going somewhere, putting data into a site, clicking buttons, moving around. It's basically like they're designed for testing websites. So that's what I like to use it for. I don't like to use it for scraping so much. I find it, I mean, hey, for small projects where you just want to do something on your own thing, absolutely, no biggie. But when you're trying to do it, scale it up a little bit, it becomes a bit of a pain in the arse, along with resources, which is what you mentioned at the start. Your videos are awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. I do my best. They're not. Some of them don't always. They're not all winners. Put it that way. But fortunately, you just keep going. If one sucks, you just move on to the next one. Doesn't matter. Very beginner. Can I make Flutter and Dart? So that's for mobile apps, right? So I'm assuming you want to, does that mean you want to scrape mobile apps? I don't have a lot of experience in that. Or if you want to make a web scraper using, so if you want to scrape those mobile applications, I really don't have an awful lot of advice because I've not really done it that much, if at all actually. But if you want to build a mobile web scraper type thing, you need to think about what you're asking your application to do, and you need to take stuff out of the application that it's not supposed to do. Does that make sense? So what I do is I write like a lot of the scripts that you've seen in my videos. I write those, but instead of just doing nothing with the data, I push it to an API that I've written, and that API stores all the information, stores all the data in a database, and then I've got endpoints that I can create to get the data and do anything with it. And my next video is about creating a really minimal API, and you'll see that, and it's really simple, it's really basic. You can do it really quick, and you can deploy them quickly as well. The only pain point is authentication. So I tend to honestly use basic auth because I think it's not a big deal. Up next, how to scrape in COBOL. Yes, but that's behind my how to scrape in Pascal, and then WebAssembly, and then actual machine code. Wouldn't that be good if I was like just covered every language? I'd be like the Fireship guy. What's his name? Like his videos. I did this in every language possible. I did it in. It's way too much work, man. Way too much work. Yeah, I did an app that searched data from a page and transform it into JSON for the app to use. Okay, yeah, that's all right. I've done that before. The problem is you're asking your web application to do more things than it's supposed to do. It's supposed to take data, have users, show data. You don't really want to start sticking too much logic in there to do other things unless it's really specific to the model, I suppose. I mean, I've done it. It's not ideal, but you'll learn. What do? I work for an e-commerce company. I work on the system side. I also do YouTube somewhat successfully. And I also take freelance jobs as well, but not a load of them because I don't have time, and I don't want to tell people I can do something and then not deliver, because that really sucks. Have I used DOF with Celery? I'm not good with Celery. I really need to learn more about it. But Celery would be like, think of it like if you need to perform a task within your application. So I wouldn't use Celery to okay, well, that's not quite what I mean. I was going to say I wouldn't use Celery to run scraping jobs, but you would. What you would do is you'd still have your scraping scripts outside of Django, and you would then use Celery to control it. But what I was using Celery for was to take data that I'd inputted into my API or my app, and then do something with that data. So I'd already pulled it from the source and pushed it into my application, and then I would use Celery to run the background jobs to do something with it. In that case, it was pushing it off to another API which needed to run on a job rather than just sat there waiting. Hope that helps. But yeah, I suck at Celery. I copy all the code. I follow all of the guides just to get it to a point where it works, and then I leave it. I never touch it again. What do you think about the future of API developers? Yeah, it's good. It's good. People are always going to want websites. People are always going to want CRUD apps, basically. And you can either build everything, which is full stack, which, yeah. Or you could let the front end people do the front end, and you can build the back end yourself as an API. I'm not good with JavaScript. I don't really like it. I'm not that interested in it. I'm not interested in front end, not interested in making really pretty websites. I much prefer to just deal with the data side of things. How much do you know about Python cloud scraping? I'm not entirely sure what you mean, man. I answered your question. How good are you at JavaScript front end? Bad. If I was going to, I can have a say on a framework though, right? Surely. So when I did start looking into, once I'd done a shitload of Python, and I was like, right, I like building APIs and backends and doing stuff with data. So that's where like scraping data comes from, sticking it into my own database and then giving it off to other people or whatever. I was like, this would be really cool if I could like build a front end type thing to go with it. So I looked into it, and I chose Vue. I didn't choose React because Facebook and everyone uses React. However, if you don't know anything and your end goal for a programmer or a developer is to get a job as quickly as possible, React is the way. I chose Vue. I kind of understood it a bit more and I liked how it looked. Or I would use Svelte, but I don't. But that is literally just from reading stuff on the internet and looking at it. I've done a few front ends in Vue. It wasn't great. Everyone uses React. Yeah, I guess it is. Does Vue incorporate better with Django templates? You wouldn't. I think. Do you know what? I don't really know the answer to that question. It's not something I've done. If I was going to go down that route, if I wanted to augment Django templates, I'd probably use HTMX because it sits in my mind better because basically you create partial bits of HTML which you then update and inject into your template. If you're going to go down the JavaScript framework route, I think you might as well go the whole hog and just do the whole front end, back end separate thing. That's what I would do. Although I'm by no means an expert in that. It's Python modules to bypass Cloudflare. Yeah. I know what you mean. I know which one you mean. I haven't used it a whole lot. I did recommend it to someone actually the other day on one of my comments to try it, and I keep meaning to try it. But what I want to do is to create a video and spend a bit more time and look at what that Cloudflare check actually does. It's like a JavaScript test. I think it'd be more interesting for people to understand how it works and what it does rather than just how to break it. Yeah, way ahead of you, man. Way ahead of you. What do you do when the data you want to collect has no common HTML group or element? I think I know what question. I think I know what you're asking. I would take. You can index it. If there's nothing you can use, no ID, no attribute, no class, nothing, you can index it. I don't find many sites that are like that though. Indexing works best, say, if, for example, like you've got 2 tables or 3 tables on a site, then you know you want the second one or the first one or the third one, and you could index. Oh gosh, sorry. I've been using Celery to import orders from a marketplace. It's get imported real time, front end. Get Ajax calls to the info task. Okay. I think you probably know it better than me. So that sounds really cool. Yeah, no, that sounds great. Show the data be imported real time. Nice. It's not something I've looked at. I'm not good with Celery. I really wanted to be, but I've got going on doing other things. So that's cool. I like that. Is scraping a good career? I wouldn't make it a career. I would use it as a supplementary skill. Take what you learn. The thing I cover this quite a lot. The thing that I like about scraping is that if you're really new to programming, it's a really good way of introducing you to all different concepts, problem solving, which is the most important thing, and then it scales really well with your learning. So you can, like, when you're ready to start learning how to use databases, you've got data on hand, and you can also like make projects that mean something to you out of it, rather than a fucking task thing to do app that no one cares about. But to rely on it as a whole thing, some people do. I mean, well, people do everything, but I wouldn't. I would say you use it as a supplementary skill, to move on to other things. Really. Do you work for yourself? Yeah, I'm full-time employed. I do YouTube and I also do freelance work. I try and balance the 3 as much as I can. Along with, the rest of life. Poorly structured HTML can be a nightmare. Yeah. Fortunately, most of it's generated. Primarily Python, yeah. Yep. When I really wanted to learn how to code again, I settled on Python. Can't remember what else I was considering, to be honest. I don't think I was considering JavaScript. Can't remember. Anyway, I chose Python. My approach, I'm not sure how popular my approach would be. It's learn enough to do what you want to do, and when you want to do something that you don't know how to do, learn enough of it how to do that, and keep going. So I have quite patchy knowledge, but what I have learned, which is more important, I think, is how to approach problems and how you think code can solve them for you. So I've been learning Python. I know it reasonably well, but I've been doing it for like 5 or 6 years. But if you put me against someone that had really studied the ins and outs of it, I'm pretty confident we would get to the same result. I just think their path would probably be much tidier than mine, but I don't really worry about that, to be honest. It's not worth it to pursue as a career. Yeah. I find it's, yeah. Well, as I said before, really. Aussie One Talk, that's a cool name. How much experience do you need to start going for jobs remote? You're just doing a P course. So you're saying that you program professionally in COBOL for 10 years? If that's what you're saying, if you mean P is in Python and not anything else, you'll pick Python up in about a month. And then now, I would say just start now. Because if you've got 10 years of, if you've got 10 years of professional COBOL experience, you're already a developer. You're just transitioning to a different language. So I would just start now. Yes. Yeah, start now. As soon I think you probably, I would just start applying. And just say, look, this is what I did COBOL for this long, and now my Python is here, and just start applying. That's what I would do. Man, COBOL for 10 years. What did you do with COBOL? Onto Python, understand it well. You will do. Python is an easy language, especially if you have that much actual dev experience. Just the environment, which way do you go? Sorry, I'm not quite sure what you mean. He scraped in COBOL. He was the OG. He was there scraping in MySpace accounts. How do you see data science, machine learning career without CS or an IT degree? Yes, it's possible. That's the great thing about tech and programming, is you don't need CS IT degree. Remote's a bit more complicated. Remote's a little bit more difficult because obviously you're not going to go in and see face to face who's employing you. But it's so common now. I wouldn't take a job that wasn't remote, to be honest. Data science is already huge. Machine learning and AI is just going to get bigger and bigger. Data science and machine learning is different though. So make sure you know what it is that you kind of want to do. Or whatever you enjoy, really. Data science is, I suppose, more science? I don't know. I didn't really know what I was trying to say then. It feels, I could be wrong. I know one of my old friends, is a data scientist for one of the massive weather companies in Europe. And when I talk to him about programming, it's hard to explain, but he talks to me back in a different way. It's all about, for me, it's about writing code that gets you somewhere. For him, it's about getting somewhere by writing code. Does that make sense? I don't know. Anyway, he's way better at pandas than me, obviously. But anyway, yeah, you're into machine learning? Great. I would just say, go for it, man. Just write, keep going, learn as much as you can. Just keep getting data sets, keep training things, keep working out what's going on. Do courses, well, like you just said, yeah. And put together a portfolio of what you can do. And I don't know this for a fact, right? So, because I haven't changed jobs for a while, and I haven't done this, but I feel like being able to show your employer your journey is kind of important. I think if I was hiring someone to work alongside me, and they showed me their GitHub, and like a year ago they were writing some crappy code, but within a year I could see improvement. To me, that would show dedication, and I would see like, right, this person's serious about continuing learning. So I think that's really important. So make sure you keep documenting your learning, posting your shit to GitHub or whatever you use, and have a portfolio. I think that's really important. Don't go overboard. This is my personal preference, but the portfolio that's just a white page with some black text saying, hey, this is what I do, here's the links to what you want to find, is probably best. I could be wrong in that respect though. Do you go to college? No. Well, yes, I went to college, as in UK college, and I did programming, or computing as it was called, and I did this was a long time ago now because I'm a bit older. This would have been 19 years ago. I did Pascal, hated it, didn't want to be there, but you know, I suppose I did learn what a loop was. Do I do any Web3 stuff? No, I don't. Not for any other reason than I just don't. I don't know why. Not really interested, I suppose. Thanks for your vids. Hey man, I appreciate that. Then if name is equal to main thing is killing me. do you know what? I remember learning about that, whenever it was, however long ago it was, and I was like, why do people keep putting this here? Until you like find whichever explanation works well for you. It's really difficult. For me, it was like, I can't remember who. I'm sure it was a YouTuber. I watched it and I was like, oh, it just means that if you run the file and if you run this file, it's going to run this bit of code underneath it. Otherwise, it doesn't. And until you start moving functions around your projects in different files, you don't realize. Yeah. I always do it in my code now. I always write functions and then I have a main function to run everything, and then I just do that at the bottom. Done. Keeps it nice and tidy. I use Python to write APIs. Fast API, do you think it makes sense to write in Python? Yeah. Python's great for backends. It's never going to be the absolute fastest, but you know what? It's going to be fast enough for almost everybody. It's easy to write. And what do you want? Other than that, use Go. For a portfolio, personal website and blog is necessary, or GitHub. Definitely GitHub. Kaggle might be important. I'm not totally clued up on the data science part. Definitely GitHub. And update your repos as much as you can. Every code that you... Not every. Hang on. Let me think about what I'm going to say. The more you... what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. Post to your repository. What's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, it doesn't matter. The more you do that, the better. But don't go overboard. Make it so like... someone tell me what the word is that I'm looking for. That's really annoying me now. Commit. The more... I would definitely try and commit as much as you can, but don't just commit arbitrary crap. There's no need. So definitely GitHub. Kaggle, I assume that's probably useful for data science, so I don't know. Portfolio and personal website, I would say yes. Doesn't have to be a blog. I don't think that's necessary. But just a personal website, because you can get it. You can use one of these static site builders. I use Hugo, which is built in Go. There's also Pelican, which is in Python. And there's themes that you can just download for free. You can host them on GitHub and then run them through Netlify, I think is one that I use. And then all you have to pay is $10 a year for your domain. Just get yourname.com and then just make it so, you know, it shows some of your projects. It doesn't have to be fancy. It might not make a difference, but I think it's worth it for the amount of effort. You don't need it. Favorite programming languages? I would say I only use assembly. No, Python and Go. That's all I know, really. I like Go more. Shouldn't really admit to that. I think I like Go more because I've been doing Python for so long, and Go is just so different. Used to work robot programming with Pascal. That's pretty cool. Do you know, I'd like to do more hardware stuff actually, with like the Arduinos and the Pis and Raspberry Pis and things. But, you know, just add it to the list of things that I want to do. I haven't got enough time. Hey Christoph, how's it going, mate? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice to see you again. Ugliest bit of Python code ever, indeed, mate. Indeed. I'd like to hear more about the robot programming with Pascal. If you're still here, Danielle. I never use classes or a lot of functions in my Python code. I only use functions when code is to be used repeatedly. Am I doing it wrong? No. Probably not. The only thing, the thing that I don't use classes that much. I probably should more, but most of the time I don't find the need. I do use functions all the time. I abstract my code out to functions a lot because I find that it makes my code more readable and also easier to change. So even if, let's say I'm basically pulling data in from somewhere, and then I've got, or let's say I want to get data from somewhere, and I've got a function that gets the data from the page, one that passes the data from that page, and then one that does something with it. That's generally the three that I go for, right? If I don't write, even if I'm going to make one request, if I don't put that get into a function, when it comes down to readability, that goes right down, because I can easily see this function, all it's supposed to do is make a request to that page and return me whatever comes back. So by doing that, I can then control all the other things, like if there's an error in it or whatever like that. And I just find that's much easier to do. I would probably encourage the use of functions more, but I can understand what you're saying with you only use them when the code is to be repeated, and that's generally what they're for. But sometimes I find that extra level of abstraction is worth it, and I use them all the time. So I just start writing functions. I don't do anything else. I don't write the code out all in a big long line and then put it into functions. I just go, okay, I think I'm going to need a function to do this, so I'll write that one out. I might change what's in them, but that's kind of where I go. How to save the results, scrape it into a Google Sheets. I don't know if Scrapey has an integration into Google Sheets, but you would want to create your own pipeline in Scrapey and then create your code that's going to connect your sheet for you. So when your Scrapey gets your data, it runs it through the pipeline that you've created, and that pipeline would then spit it into your Google Sheets. Just be careful with Google Sheets because there is a limit. I think it's 10,000. Late as always, but present. Hey, I think it's my fault for going live a bit too early for you, mate. I was wondering if you might give me a pointer with Scrapey. I have everything working, but a few items scraped. I need to split into multiple items. Okay. Do you mean that the selector that you're choosing to pull information out of has 2 bits of information in it that you want? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean like, or can you go down a level on the selectors? If you can't and you want to do that, you could write yourself if you use the items and the item loaders, you can write a separate function. I do this usually to clean data, but you could write one that would split it into 2 and then load it into different parts. Does that make sense? I hope it does. That's kind of, hopefully that's what I mean. What do you use Go for? I like Go because because it's so different to Python, but I use it for backends. I'm still learning, so I have no production, and I don't like that word because, you know, I'm just a freelancer and a YouTuber. I don't write massive applications, but I don't have anything Go in production. I'm learning it still, but I would use it for backend APIs basically, which is pretty much what I like doing and how I do what I do now. So like microservices, they call it really. There's a load of stuff I want to learn around it, like RPC, remote procedure call, all that stuff. How how your microservices talk to each other, etc. Other than performance, do you get any benefit writing APIs over DRF? Yeah. Yes. So let's say you, and this is 100% legit, and I've done this plenty of times. Let's say you're going to make an API to do something, but it only needs to do a certain few things, and you throw Django at it and DRF. All the code that you're essentially using, DRF is Django REST framework. All the code that you're essentially using is written by other people who are almost certainly smarter and better at it than you are. However, they're writing that code to cater for everybody's needs. So you're either going to end up with a load of overhead that you don't need, or you're going to end up with a load of boilerplate code that you don't need. Or the third one, you're going to end up with a load of code that does something that you know the start and the end, but you don't really know the middle. Now, I don't mean that in a nefarious way, but what I really mean is that there's a lot of benefits to writing it yourself. It takes longer, and let's be honest, if the idea is to get something up and running as quickly as possible, let's say you and your team have got this awesome idea for, like, let's say it's the early 2000s, and you're like, hey, we need to make a thing that, you know, people can create profiles on, and they can connect to each other, and they can share like bits of text and stuff, maybe photos even. That'd be really cool. You want to build that really quick? Django, right? But if you want to actually have total control over everything, you want to write it yourself. And it's the same. And I tweeted out this actually. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me at JHNWR. I tweet once a week, and it's brilliant. Because I asked about ORMs, object relational mappers, which is what people use to connect their databases in Python, like 99% of the time. But you'll find that whereas that's going to be perfect for the majority of people, and I use ORMs, I'm not saying, but you relinquish a little bit of control, and if you get to a point where you actually are going to start to be hindered by that, you're much better off writing your own SQL queries, because you have 100% control over the queries that are being made to your database. And the same thing kind of applies. However, all that shit aside, if you like what DRF and Django does, and you're happy with it and you enjoy it, use it. Just use it. 100% use it, learn it, use it, do everything in it, and you will not have a problem. 100%. The fact that it's slower than Fast API, or it's slower than all this and that, it doesn't make a difference. Not for most people. Not for almost anyone. Anyway. Thomas Neal, is there a situation screaming that's ever hopeless? Yeah. Hopeless. So it depends how you define that hopeless. For me, hopeless is I'm going to have to invest a lot of time, effort, and money into getting this. Is it worth it? Always get to the market first. Be YouTube and not Google. Well, I think the main thing, that's the best thing to do, was to build something that Google or Facebook wanted to buy, because then you can build it, make a mess of it, sell it to them, and then walk off with X hundreds of million and enjoy your life. Have I ever used Laravel before? No, actually, I haven't. Thanks for reminding me. You know, I was talking about learning Python earlier. One of the long before that, before I knew any better, I was thinking, maybe I'd learn PHP. Hated it. And the next one was Rails, which kind of got into. Ruby on Rails is still used a lot, actually. It's like Django, I think. So no. Yeah, data in plain text normally is one topic. A few occasions where it refers to two or three. Oh, that's a real pain. So you're saying that sometimes within that single selector you can have 2 or 3 pieces of text that might need to be split out. Yeah, so you need to create something that's going to split it up. So always, if that was the case, I would probably say, without looking, it's hard to say, but I would probably go with always split it, and then, because when you split it, it'll return a list. So always split. Thinking pipeline. Pipelines for sending stuff to do something. I would probably do this before you send it somewhere. So you probably want to do this in your item loader. But obviously you know the project better than me, because I'm literally just going off what you're saying. But I would say always do a split, because then you get a list, and then you can work out the length of the list, and then you can say for each item in the length of the list, put this one here, this one here, this one here. I suppose I don't know if that's the best way, but that's kind of where I would go first. Do you imagine that your channel is first in scraping thanks to creating the content? Oh, bros, do you mean first as in like, I'm not sure what you mean. First as in this is what I've been doing. Yeah, so when I started creating my YouTube channel, I just wanted to hold myself accountable for learning more Python, and then web scraping kind of stuck because I was automating a lot of my 9-to-5 job through browser automation. And then I started learning about getting data, and then I started learning about, oh shit, there's this thing called an API. But if you mean my channel's first on YouTube for scraping, I have no idea, I doubt it. I don't think I even rank for the term web scraping. That's really annoying, to be honest. It doesn't matter. It's the way YouTube works, really. I bet there's people that make content that look at mine and go, how is this guy getting so many views? He sucks. And I go, well, yeah, that's the way that it goes. Do you use any proxy service scraping? I've used lots. At the moment, I am sponsored by IP Royal, so that's my recommendation. They sponsor me at the moment. I use them, so a lot of you guys do as well. I haven't had any issues. You created a startup learning from my scraping, did you? Alright, well, I'll tell you what. You better cut me in. I need some more cash, man. Cut me in. Get me some money. That's really cool, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad. I'm really cool. I think it's really cool that people kind of like learn something from me and then go on to do something with it. I really like that. I had one of my original commenters and viewers. I won't say his name. I don't know why. It doesn't really matter. I remember he messaged me right near the start of my channel, asking me questions and stuff, and I thought, that's fine, no problem. I did my best to help. And then earlier on this year, he messaged me again saying, hey, I just want to say thanks because I've just got my first full-time dev job doing Django, and you kind of started me all off. And I thought that was so cool. I thought that was amazing. How are we getting on? Where's my timer? Oh, 49 minutes, so no problem. So the next video is another API video. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a different kind of format. I hope it's not too boring, to be honest. And I say that because I watch it and I'm like, I enjoy it because I watched it and I did it. But we'll see how it goes down. That's the downside of YouTube. You know, if people don't watch your stuff, then nothing happens, isn't it? Tedious. Hi Mirko, how's it going? Do you think there's a red line? What do you mean by red line? Do you mean a place where you should stop, or not exactly sure what you mean, mate? I want to change the music again. What am I on? Let's go for this. Privacy concerns. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think it kind of depends on your own moral compass, I suppose. I do I generally say if it's behind a login, I won't touch it for other people. Obviously, if it's your own, if you're logging into your own account with an automated browser and pulling some information and sending it to yourself, I don't see an issue. But I wouldn't do it for other people, just because when there's a login, you've actually agreed to terms and conditions quite firmly. Whereas if the content, so I say, if I could hire 1,000 people to every 5 minutes of their working day, or 10 minutes, or every hour of their working day, copy and paste a piece of text from the website and save it, I don't see why I can't automate that. It's kind of where I feel, kind of where I'm at. I also think, though, that as a website owner, you should be able to block people doing that if you want to. You know, it kind of gets into a weird bit of a place. What do I think about iOS development? Do you know what? I'm really sorry. I don't know anything about mobile apps and mobile development. It's not something that's ever grabbed my interest or something I've ever done. From an outsider point of view, I wonder whether like that mobile app thing is kind of the golden days are gone. I don't know. Maybe not. I guess everyone still wants apps, but just from my own personal point of view, I can't remember the last time I downloaded an app on my phone to do anything. Isn't the money all in like those awful games? I don't know. Sorry, I can't help. It's not an avenue that I would ever pursue. Now that companies seem to be accepting it as an inevitability and legality is holding up. Do you think it's going to be the next gold rush in analytics? I'm just trying to digest your question, sorry. I think I know what you mean. I think I still think that the place to be is like, what's it called? Business analytics, BI, business intelligence. If you're good with data, I would say business intelligence is the place to be, because you can offer companies so much more than they are generally looking at. If you'd be surprised, so many mid-sized companies have like just no idea about their data, and I can guarantee you most of the services that they'll be using will have an API. So you would want to learn how to do something with the data for that industry or many industries and pull it out of their systems and then display it to them in a useful way. And I think that can make you very rich. In fact, I know it can, from my experience working in the industry that I do. So if you're good with data on analytics, then I would say that's where I would go. I'm not that great with analyzing data. I'm good at getting it and storing it and working out the best way to work with it. I'm not that great at pulling information out of it. Companies scraping competitors becoming easily... Yes. That is 100% correct, yeah. People always want to know what their competitors are doing. 100%. Create an app for 10 recipes for octopus. Only 10? Must be loads more than that. I'll tell you what. If you build it, I'll do a video on it and we'll promote it. And we'll get people involved. How do you avoid bot detection systems? Yeah, so the best... It becomes a bit of a... There's two phrases that I tend to describe this with. It becomes either a paywall, as in not a literal paywall, but a paywall as in you need to pay for capture solving, you need to pay for proxies, you need to pay for servers, you might even need to pay for hardware, and it's just an arms race. So if you're really serious about like properly breaking bot protection, you need to have your own proper setup. Like, you'll need people to break captures for you. I would recommend a shitload of the best proxies you can find and a really robust program system that can really handle the not the data flow, but like the retrying, the logging, all that stuff. If you're just doing it for yourself and you find you're getting detected a bit too much, I tend to just do a little bit less. It's hard to describe really. It's really dependent on what you're trying to achieve. I don't know what the sort of scale we're talking about. Hey man, thanks a lot for the channel. Hey, appreciate it. That's great. I'm glad you enjoy it. Does anyone want to ask about types of website approaches to scrape the data for every type? Not specifically, but we've been talking about that quite a lot. I try and cover it as much as I can in my videos. They're just a little bit more scattered around than perhaps possible. But I would say generally what you're looking at is just your classic request and HTML pass. Then you want to look for the backend API that JavaScript might be making AJAX calls to, that you can then mimic. You can use that. Or you could go ahead and try and render the JavaScript page out, along with many different lines of doing that, as in just rendering one page out and then grabbing cookies and stuff, all sorts of different things. It's really dependent on like the site, I suppose. Lots of different approaches. Do you have any long-term plans for the direction of your channel? Yeah, I want to move into cooking streams, like octopus. There's a good site for 10 recipes somewhere, I've heard. I've thought about this a lot, in all seriousness. I'll be honest. There's a much smaller audience for more advanced stuff. So when you go up the scale of advanced topics, if you're trying to teach people as in a tutorial style, A, you've got less people that are interested in it because less people are there. And also B, it takes a shitload more time to do. Having said that, there's a limit of how many like beginner tutorials you can do, but the reality of YouTube is that most people do the same thing over and over and over and over in every video. They just repackage it ever so slightly different. What I want to do is continue to cover the topics that I'm interested in, so data, web scraping, and move out a bit further, APIs, web applications, all within this sort of idea of working with data in Python, but probably not going as far as analyzing data. I want to work on how to get it and control it and work with databases. More advanced is more niche, absolutely. So I want to try and keep coding tutorials on my channel. So like I still want to write code in front of people and show them how to do things, but I also want to make more videos that challenge the way that people think. And that sounds really lame and cliched now that I've said it, but I want to make videos where I can get people to think about a really small topic and sort of think, hey, what does this mean to me? And if I can pull that off, I'll have 1 million subs and I'll be rolling in it, and I'll be live streaming to like 1,000 people, and I won't be able to talk about anything because I'll just be reading off names that are subscribing. And I'm not being serious about that, apart from the bit I was just talking about before. Last question: how did someone be professionally proficient in scraping? Constant learning process, constant learning process. Everything is different. You just need to. It's all just experience. It's all experience, and like with anything else, the more you do it, the more you see things. So the good example of this is I made a video a while ago about JavaScript obfuscation, where the actual website was really simple to pull the data out of, but they were obfuscating email addresses with really basic JavaScript. And I came across this through Stack Overflow, and I was like, that's really interesting, which is why I made a video about it, because it was interesting to me. I want to pass it on. But if I'd never seen that obfuscation, the next time I see it, I'd go, what the hell is this? But now I've seen it, I'll go, all right, that's just JavaScript obfuscation. I know exactly what they're doing. It'll be something like this. So it's all about that. And that's just the way that, you know, learning anything goes. You just have to keep going, really. But how long did it take me? A couple of years, I suppose. And I wouldn't say that I'm nowhere near the best by a long way, obviously, because I teach people how to do it. And what's it? Those who can't teach, I think that applies. Do you know a way to scrape dynamic content pages? Yeah. You can. Depends what it is. You can throw a browser at it, or you can find where the data is coming from. Always check the cross-site, what's it called, XHR, cross whatever request for Ajax calls. Check the source code of the page as well. Quite often you'll get a script tag that's got all the data in it loaded in, that just basically it loads it there and then sticks it into the right place with JavaScript. Recapture, try proxies. If it's still a massive issue, then you're probably just going to have to go for a capture solving service, which is really dull, to be honest. I really don't like that. Sometimes you have to. You just basically pay a company to break the capture for you and send you back the code. What niche do you freelance for? I'm going to call it data acquisition. I also make full, more complete solutions for people. Basically everything I've talked about. I don't just write crappy code. Of course I write crappy code. I don't just write code and for people that gets data and then just does nothing. I would provide someone with a service, so it gets the data from everywhere they want it to do, and I'll give them a database and usually API endpoints that they can do whatever they want to, or I can write code for them to send it off to wherever they want to. Question on headless browsing solutions that detects you have a recommendation on bypassing rather than in non-headless mode. Do you mean that it works in non-headless but fails in headless? That's interesting. That'll be the way that there'll be like flags in the browser that are saying it's running as headless. So if you're going to do browser scraping like that, you want to look into like whatever the stealth plugins are for whichever one you're using. So there is a Puppeteer stealth, there's a Selenium stealth, Playwright stealth, because when you're actually controlling that browser, there's so many really obvious giveaways that you are controlling it automatically, and it's really easy to pick up as a bot. You just need to install one of these things and just create an instance of it and activate it really, and try it. Do you provide your client source code or subscription based? It depends. If I'm writing an API for them, I will say I won't, and I'll just say that I'll give them a login. I usually create a really basic user interface just so they can check what's going on, and then I'll spit the data out to wherever they want it to, and I'll run that for them. Or some people just want the code. I find less so, because most people that want a solution like that aren't going to want to run the code themselves, because if they could do that, they'd probably write it for themselves. That's much more rare. That's actually one of the benefits, one of the great things about Go, is it compiles into Mac, Linux, and Windows binaries. And I haven't done this, but I haven't done this for a client, but I've done it for myself, where I've written it in Go just so I can compile it really easy to a Windows exe, and you just run it on Windows and it just does whatever. So that's really handy. Have you ever had success using Tor? No, I've never really used Tor. In fact, no, I haven't ever used Tor. I know about it. My friend at work used to buy drugs through Tor all the time. Well, there goes my monetization, I assume. I've never used it, so I can't really say. The proxies I've always used are the ones I've just, like, I've talked about my sponsor now, but before I just Googled them and paid. I've tried a week and I've not been able to automate capturing the information using the NIT code. Not sure what you mean, sorry man. It has legit purposes. I'm sure it does. Outside of browser, interacting with captures, depends which ones they are. Some of them you can break with like, what's the one we're looking for? Like not machine learning. They used to do ones, right, where you just had to like fill in the gap or something, and you could do it with Python. I don't think anyone uses those anymore. There's a service. You would use a service to break it for you. It costs a couple of cents a go or something like that. Can you please elaborate on the complete solution that you're talking about? Yeah, sure. Hang on. OpenCV and computer vision technology. That's pretty much what I mean. Yeah, I don't think people have captures like that anymore. I read a whole article on captures, which I thought was really interesting. But it's basically just it doesn't work for anyone. There you go. So the complete solution, I would say, right? So let's say you come to me and you say, the data on these websites is really important to me for my business. I heard you can do web scraping. Can you get it for me? So I check them out and I go, yeah, okay. What I would say would be, how do you want the data delivered? Do you want one load of data? If they just want a dump, then I can just basically sell my time to do that. Or if they want it to be on a more recurring occasion, which almost everybody does, there's a couple of options. So I can write you a script to pull it and it will download onto a computer, which most people don't go for because, as aforementioned, what I would say is I would write and host a small API for them. That would be on my server, and then I would create a separate web scraper like the ones you see on my channel, although just a bit more fleshed out with logging for each site. And then those scripts would take the data from that site that I want and convert it into the model that I've created onto my API. So I will have like 2, 3, 4, 5 scraping scripts that push stuff into my API, into my database. So then I've got my own database app, which is connected to my app, which is running in the cloud or wherever, which I would then create endpoints for to pull data out of that database. So what you're doing is you're pulling stuff off the sites and pushing it into a central location, which then means you can take it from there and do whatever you need to do with it, whether it would be to push it into someone else's system or basically even just take it out and as a CSV file. What it means is that you've always got it there and you're not worried about, oh, it didn't work, scraping it, something didn't happen, so now I don't have anything to give you or anything like that. So that kind of help. Can you hire me for private consultancy? I don't really do consulting. You can hire me. The only thing is, I'm gonna be honest, I've said most of it now. I don't really do consulting. I either code or I don't. But if you have a specific business question that you want to ask that you don't want to ask in a chat, I totally understand. You can email me. My email's on my YouTube page, and I might be able to help you out. I might not be able to. The way you do for clients, does that make you liable if you scrape the site? Well, for a start, I wouldn't do anything that involves a login. So essentially liable in a way, yes, because it would be tied to my server, for example. However, I don't really think there's a awful lot in that, really, because I've never had any issues basically. If a website decides to block me aggressively, then I basically just go back to my client and say, look, they're blocking me aggressively. I don't know what I can do more, but is it worth it? And then we go from there. Have you found the popularity of this channel has increased the volume of your freelancing work? Yes. Becoming an authority figure, I don't like that term, because I'm really not, like, this is the thing, okay? So I'm good at it. I'm good at what I do, but I am by no means the leader of the... there is so many people that can do what I do. There's so many people that are better than me. But I've just found that, like with anything, you know, if you want to buy a bicycle and you Google best bicycle, you're going to go to the top few results in Google. Like, what can I say? Like, so yes, having a YouTube channel is a really good way of doing of being something. And I would honestly, if you run a business that does something, I'd 100% have a YouTube channel. 100%. You're probably going to get no view. You're probably going to get hardly any viewers, or you're going to have hardly. But you know what? It will grow over time, and you might convert some people. I work in a company where we automate completely legal in Colombia. In Colombia, it's very difficult to find people like me. Hey, go find my email and email me some details. If I can help, I will. If I can't, I'll let you know, and we won't waste any time. So there's no big deal. Want to know a fun fact, by the way? Yeah. Go on then. Good point about business and YouTube. Have you relied on any resource for growing the channel more effectively? No. My growth is 100% organic YouTube. I mean, it was slow. I've been doing YouTube for nearly 3 years. Bloody hell. Yeah, nearly 3 years. It was slow, man. Yeah, cool, man. I'll look out for it. I should be able to get to it tomorrow. Yeah, 3 years. I think it was October 2019 that I started. God, those early... Don't watch the early videos. They're terrible. I talk like a robot. Weird. In fact, I saw one the other day, earlier today. Quite often I go through my analytics and I look at percent viewed versus click-through rate to see if I can find videos that people are actually watching more of but are clicking on less. The little things you have to do to optimize YouTube. And I usually ignore ones that are over about a year old, but I didn't set my date filter right, and I was like, oh, this is a really old one, and it's so painful to watch. So bad. In fact, like some of my more popular ones, view count wise, are my older ones just because they've been on there for longer, but they're so bad. I feel bad for anyone that like stumbles across them now. Yeah, it's embarrassing to watch the old ones. It really is. But you got to start somewhere. Hey, I'm not saying my videos are amazing now, but you know, the quality's better, my talking's better, all that stuff. Ugh. All Dutch citizens are becoming poor, even though it could easily be avoided. Jesus Christ. Is that the tax thing? I always thought the Netherlands was a country that was switched on, man. Better than the shit show that is the UK. Maybe I'm wrong. I think everywhere's suffering at the moment. I don't want to get into politics, but fuck. Difficult. Well, I'm just going to reload and I will be back in. Oh, I'm back. Sorry about that. For everyone, you don't want to buy gas from Russia, becoming broke, we legit need it. I mean, yeah, we're about to have a energy cap increase price, and it's gonna fuck lots of people over. It's just the whole thing's an absolute mess. Yeah. At least solar panels can work in your country. Well, I hope everything's going to be alright. I mean, well, people will find a way. It's just a shame it has to be so unpleasant. Any recommendations on understanding the Chrome DevTools protocol, trying to understand how to make a socket connection as a browser? John, I'm not entirely sure. Either I don't know what you mean in your question, or I don't know what the answer is for you. Don't know what a DevTools protocol is. Socket connection to the browser, as in like a WebSocket. Not something I've dealt with a lot, I'm afraid. Not sure, mate. Sorry. So who in here has been who in here has been coding for more than 2 years? I'll figure out my audience, or at least my audience tonight. I feel like 2 years is a good kind of like. I think after 2 years, I felt pretty comfortable. Me, of course, you. Oh yeah, and my Aussie one top, my COBOL guy. By the way, my future want to build a wood cabin, but I'm not sure I can avoid taxes. Bloody hell. Hacking away in Ruby, scraping for 6 years. Maybe I shouldn't have asked that question. I start to feel like I'm inadequate. How do you find Ruby? How do you find it? Do you like it? I almost learnt Ruby. I think I said that earlier. Like it does cost taxes. Oh right, it costs taxes just for a cabin in the woods. Bloody hell. As a Dutch citizen though, you can go and live anywhere, right? You could go anywhere in Europe. Not saying anywhere else is better. I'm just saying you could do. Started Python 2019 just before COVID. Cool, how are you getting on? How are you finding it? For me, there's this bit in the middle where you feel like you've been doing it for ages and you still suck at everything. And you just need that kind of click moment. I'm just interested in like other people's like journeys, to be honest. Find it fascinating. Someone mentioned it at the beginning of the screen, but I'd love to look at other people's GitHub projects and stuff as well. Just, I think I could, honestly, because I think I could honestly, because I think I could learn stuff as well. I was finding it interesting. You love it, work for .com. Big rail shop in early 2000s. Nice. Yeah, see, I think that's proper, that's cool. That's old school, that is. I wish hindsight, obviously. I wish I'd have done more sooner in that respect. Professionally, did 4 years around 2001. Moved to operations, networking, and then sales. Wow. You just followed the money. That's cool. Now, sales is one thing that I think I would just be bad. Yes. Fair play. I hope you enjoy it, man. I just think that sales is something I would suck at, I think. I like building stuff, but fair enough, man. That's cool. How's best to start with Python? At the beginning. At the beginning, you have to. There's this like time period where you have to just sit there and make shit that doesn't. It seems inconsequential until you pick up the basics, and then you could start to figure out how to do things that are a bit more interesting. By the way, if you ever visit here, please eat at our friends. The food amazing. I don't know, I'm not quite sure what you're saying, but I think I know what you're saying. And I would love to. I'd love to go to the Netherlands. I'm struggling to get out of the country a bit at the moment, just for lack of time, really. Sales is amazing. I sucked the first year. You can help design all the projects and none of the responsibilities. Hey, that does sound pretty good. That sounds pretty cool. In fact, we used to use a company for some of our systems, and I got quite friendly with our technical account manager, the tech guy, and after a couple of years he was like, moving to sales. I was like, you bastard, where are you going, why? And now he's like senior or like something like that. Anyway, he's doing pretty well in it, and thinking back on it now thinking back on the conversations we have, I can see how we would really do well in sales. That's pretty cool. My first project was lottery simulator. How much chance is it? Yeah. That's a good idea. Did I get a chance to check out Scrape Ops? I only had a cursory look. I haven't really looked further than that, to be honest. I've had other things that I've been trying to do, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. Right. So you posted this twice. Sorry, man. Crawl through links from one main page which is working well. I can't scrape the originating page while also following the links. Okay. What are you using? What are you using to do it? Generally, what you would want to do is, what I would do is, if you're using Scrapey, it's dead easy because you can just do the callbacks. If you're not, you're using Scrapey. So in your pass function, you get the data out that you want, and then at the end of it, you search for the there's like a next page button. Have you tried that? Did that work? Is there a next page one? Because then you can do a callback and go round and round in a loop until it's done. Hey Ozzy, man, thank you for stopping by, and thanks for chatting. I really appreciate it. It's nice to hear about your COBOL and all that stuff. I'm sure your speed typing assignment. Oh, bloody hell, Teak into it. Okay, thanks for dropping by, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you. It was hard for me to transition to back end to front end Oh, I see. Yeah. I get you. I understand. Yeah, just having to. Right. Yeah, I understand. For those who are beginners, learn the front end more than. I see. Yeah, I just had no desire to do front end. I thought that's where I'd end up, to be honest, because I was like, hey, I want to be a developer, man. I should have done this ages ago. I want to be a developer. What should I do? So I want to make cool websites. This was in like 2000 and I don't know, 6 or something. So yeah, awesome. So I should make. Let's look at all the stuff. I think it was PHP and all that stuff. And then I ditched it for a bit because I was 20 something. I had other plans. Yes, my phone just lit up. I've got your email. I'll have a look either after this or tomorrow, and I'll get back to you with something. If I can be of use, if I can be helpful, I will. If as I said, if I can't, then I'll just let you know. Thanks. I'll go back through your early vids and start learning. Hey, don't go too far back, because if you go too far back, they'll probably do more damage than good because they sucked. Hi, HA, how's it going, man? Welcome back. I don't think I saw you last weekend when I was live streaming. I might have been too early for you. I know you're on. I know, aren't you ahead of me on your? Aren't you ahead of me in your time zone? Have you just got a messed up sleep schedule? I automated my web shop with 10,000 plus products with the cost price changing daily. So I made an API that synced the change cost price and updated it. Exactly. That is Erwin. That is pretty much exactly what I was talking about earlier. And I think that is absolutely the best way to do it. Yes, 2:38. You gotta get some. Well, as long as you get your 8 hours sleep, mate, that's all right, I suppose. Oh dear. It's not much of a problem with pagination. I want to follow the product link, but also scrape the name of the product, which isn't shown in the second page. Oh, okay, I understand. Let me think. So you're going to one page, you want some data off there, and then you want to follow the link and then get data off there. That's interesting, actually. I can't think about that off the top of my head. I'd have to put some work into that. Maybe it's a bit late on a Friday for me to think about that. Hey Ryan, how's it going, mate? Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Yeah, Jack, and that's an interesting question. I know exactly what you mean now. It can definitely be done. I just can't think about it right now. Because you'd want to return the item from the second page, not the first one, because using the callback. It was hard to describe that problem. I think you did a good job. It took a couple of goes. I think that would be one that I'd have to be there and sit down and look and think through, because I've definitely done that not in Scrapey, because it's much easier because you can just pass the data through, but I can't immediately think how you do it in Scrapey along it working within the lines of the item, etc., etc. Good question. I like questions that I can't answer. Makes me look great. What did I use the previous time? Just wrote it myself using requests and an HTML parser. Little Donkey, hello mate. Guessing is that, don't know what language that is. Polish? Oh, that's the English. What do you do live on? Are you asking what I do when I'm live streaming? If you are so far only chatting, I haven't done any live coding really yet. I will do live coding. I want to. I just don't want it to be really boring for people whilst I stare at a problem for ages, not saying anything. Some people are really good at live coding. I just don't think I am yet. It's coming. It will happen. It will happen. I want to do that thing like all the other streamers do. I want to make like a stream project. Some kind of it'll be scraping multiple sites, pushing into an API type thing. But I'm not quite there yet. I just think I'm going to stare at the screen too long without talking to people, and it'll get really, really dull. What did you use the previous time? Sorry, answer that question. Did you study computer science at uni? No, I didn't go to university. Kind of wish I had. Sounded like a massive party. In fact, my girlfriend at the time, I did go to her university quite a bit. I was a few years older than her at that time though, so it was a bit more, being a 21-year-old amongst 18-year-olds is a bit. They were good people though. I code so slow I can never do that. I mean, mate, I wonder if I'm the same. Sometimes you just get in that zone and it's just like flies off your fingers. Other times, the video that I've just done now that's going to come out next week, there's a bit in it. I did it slightly differently. I wanted to record myself writing code and I wanted to narrate it a little bit more rather than say, then you type this, then you type that. And I found that there was a bit in it that was about 10 minutes long where I couldn't work out what I'd done wrong, and all I'd done wrong was I'd put a bracket in the wrong place. 10 minutes. Who wants to watch that? It'd be interesting if you did a group stream with people on different skill levels working on portions of a project as a live stream. That's a really cool idea. I wonder how I can make that work. That's a really good idea. Thanks, Craig. That's a really cool idea. I wonder if I could get if we could do a stream project where actually, here's a good idea. Let me know what you think. I spent 10 minutes due to a cut and paste error. Yeah, done that loads of times. Hello from Russia. Hello, mate. How's it going? How old are you? I am 36. I was a young man once. So yeah, now that I'm going to expand on that, Craig. I'm thinking, what if, in the stream project, if I build an API that has a few different models, and then we would I could code with other people to write things that push data into it. Does that sound cool? Or is that just really lame or is no one going to do it? I don't know. It might be quite interesting. The only problem is, how would I control what data people push into the API? You'd probably just end up full of viruses and pornography. Everyone writes a function. Yeah, so I was thinking everyone could write an actual script that I'd say, this is your API key. Do you want to write a script that pushes some data into it? That's not a bad idea. Cheers, Etche. Thanks for dropping by, man. Make sure you get up nice and early tomorrow. See who does the best one. We could have a competition. I'd be happy if anyone took part. It would just be I wrote, you just imagine, no one did it. No one did your homework again. Come on, guys. Do this free work for me so I can make content out of it. Oh, actually, that's how content creation works. It would be great, wouldn't it? That's a cool idea. I like that idea. Maybe at some point that'd be pretty cool to do. I don't know if I have the audience for that yet. I'd have to provide something back to those people that contributed. If you're looking for volunteers, I would sign up. Okay, that's good to know. I think I would have to be able to provide something back to those people. Thoughts on crypto? I don't know anything about crypto. I've never owned it. I've never really shown much of an interest into it, to be honest. I have friends that have tried to talk to me, and I'm like, that's cool. You do you, man. I'm not really that interested. Yeah, Craig, you give me some good ideas, actually. I wonder if I could pull it off. I'll make a note of that, and we're going to talk about that next time as well. Online pair programming, it's more you helping with their project. Yeah, so that's kind of moving more into one-to-one tuition rather than like everyone building something together for fun. I would worry that I wouldn't be able to help some people so much, and or it would become a shitload more work trying to help them with. It's difficult. It's difficult. New laptop, PC, Mac buying guide. I need one of those. Actually, I did commit a sin earlier today, and I did buy a Mac. I feel bad. I'm a Linux user, but I needed a laptop to go away with. So I bought a 2020 M1 Air, not the new one. Sod that, and it was only 650 quid, second hand. Did you have a mentor when you were learning? No, I didn't. It would really have helped, and I wish if I had more time, I would love to do a mentorship for people who are brand new. I don't have the time. Because it would be people across different time zones, because I wouldn't want to exclude anyone. It would have to be limited places. So how would I choose who I would mentor? The compromise to that would probably be, and no one's mentioned it yet, so I can't call bingo, would be the Discord server where I can build a community more. The only thing my only hesitation about that is I've seen bigger creators try to create Discords than me, and they're not that active. And also, I don't want to spend a load of time moderating it, so I would rely on community contributions to do so. And I'm not sure how I feel about that totally. What's your day job? I work for an e-commerce company working on a system. So I use Python to automate things that I need to do for my job, rather than write what I need rather than what my job uses Python. Does that make sense? Curious if anyone on the channel has an experience data scraping media content, images, audio, and video. Do you know what? I've not pulled most of the information I pulled out is text, actually, or obviously JSON. I haven't done an awful lot of image. I've done some images, no audio actually, and video is always generally just people asking how to download YouTube videos and stuff, of which quick Google will find you stuff to do that. So that's an interesting question. Can we use search bar to search keyword while scraping? I'm not entirely sure what your question is. Yes, you would, if your search bar just basically sent a new request with a query across. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Craig. So I found I was going to get the M1 Air a while ago, literally a couple of years ago. I decided against it because I didn't think I was really going to use one, which was fair enough. And I didn't. I really don't like spending that much money on a laptop, really, just because I do everything on my desktop. I've got two massive monitors, an average desktop, my mic, all that stuff. But I've found a case where I do need to go away a bit more and have something to move around with. So I was looking at like Linux laptops like Star something, and then System 76, which is US, and they still come out about 1,100-1,200 quid. So I decided just to buy. I just went on eBay and bought a second-hand M1 Air for 650. I reckon it will be absolutely fine. I don't really like Mac OS that much, but it's Unix based, so you've got the terminal, and I can't live without that. So there you go. How long do you reckon you spend coding per day? Depends. If I'm in the middle of a project and I'm working on something, I will probably code for 5 or 6 hours. I don't like to do too much more than that because my brain kind of doesn't, I don't really like it so much. It doesn't, I find that I've got that's my kind of zone. But today I've coded for 0 minutes. I probably should have done some, but I had other things that I was working on and I wanted to live stream, and you know, that's the way that goes. But you know, I don't have set work hours. For my day job I do, but even they're quite flexible. So I just work as and when, all the time, whenever, really. Like I might have a couple of hours off in the daytime, walk the dogs, go to the gym, but then I just work for the rest of the time. I sit here anyway, so I might as well do something, and I enjoy it generally. 30-day lead time, yeah, that's the problem. And it's hard to say whether they're going to be good because the laptop's so much more dependent on hardware. Because you can't, if a component in your desktop sucks, you just replace it. Like if your graphics card is crap, you just buy a new one. Or if you're whatever, you need another hard drive, just plug one in. It's not the same on laptops. You're relying on smaller, the battery. You can't just stick a massive hard drive in there. So that's why I ended up where I'm at. We'll see how it goes. Can you chat about how you started using databases? Yeah, still Python based. So the very, very beginning, do you know what? It's interesting because ORMs kind of looked a bit scary to me at the very, very beginning. And I found it easier to use SQLite and actually just write out some really simple SQL queries. Now, I did have, when I was at school, I did computing, I did have some exposure to SQL. So that kind of helped a little bit. I'm not saying a lot, and I still don't know SQL, so I can't really say. But I found it easier just to write literally a few lines of SQL to put data into a database, and I was using SQLite. From there, it was trying to decipher Flask SQL Alchemy, the SQL Alchemy for Flask part, because I was trying to build Flask applications. And from there, nowadays I would always use Postgres. I did get excited about NoSQL, like MongoDB and stuff like that, and I've heard people using it for great success. And one of the companies I work with, they build one of their whole things around it. I just prefer the structure, I think. I'm not saying it's bad. Yeah. So, but nowadays, if I was doing something, I would use SQL Alchemy probably. Or I do like Tortoise ORM, but I would use that for smaller projects. And then I would start with, so people say don't use SQLite for production, and that's kind of true because it can't cope with concurrency. But if you're only building an app that's going to have one user and all you're going to be doing is pushing your data into it, and you're basically using it as an interface to your database to store shit, doesn't really matter. Having said that, I would use Postgres pretty much. What editor are you using? Yeah, so I use PyCharm most of the time, but I've been using Vim, NeoVim a lot more, and I really, really like it. It's just there's still that extra barrier for me where I don't know all the shortcuts well enough, and I haven't sat down enough to learn them. So I trip up over the small things, and I find it difficult. And also because it's fully like customizable and configurable, and I haven't sat down and found a configuration that I like, I find it easier to actually get my main work done through PyCharm still. Having said that, if I need to sit down and really put some time into my own personal config for NeoVim and get it working how I like, and when I get there, I think I would honestly move to it full time, Just because. So I used to, when I was younger, I used to play loads of computer games, and I found that I was the guy that was macroing everything together, and I was like, my key bindings were like shift everything, control everything, alt, control, shift everything, and I really learned it really easy. So I think once I translate that over to NeoVim, I think I really enjoy it. And do you know what? There's just something great about just living in the terminal. You can do everything from one place without having to mess around. Did you play WoW? Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. If I put half the time into learning programming that I did WoW, I wouldn't even be here because I'd be senior dev at Google. I would have made Google. How necessary is it to have your own API for projects? Is it worth the hassle? See, if you make a really small one, it's not a lot of hassle. Depends what you're trying to do. It's a completely separate thing. So work on whatever it is you're trying to do to start with, work on that. And then if you want to start moving your data somewhere else, then build an API. Don't do them at the same time, especially if you're new to it. Which side? What do you mean? In WoW, Horde. Do you need to change IP addresses all the time with scraping? Not necessarily. In fact, that can be detrimental depending on cookies, etc., etc. Oh, my voice is just going a bit. What's your definition of small? One file, 50 lines of code. No, 2 files. One's a model. One's your models. Whatever your models are, and then 50 lines of code. About. That's like really basic, really minimal authentication as well. Basic auth. Yeah, I remember WoW 34 macro on my Paladin for strat boost. I used to play. I was my Warlock back in the day when it was SL. I had a key binding for everything. Shift 1 to 5, and then Q, E, R, T, F, G, C, X, Z, Shift, all of those, Control, all of those, Alt, all of those. Oof. Good fun. Waste of time though. Time that playlist got a bit weird again. Does anyone know, can I, if I play copyrighted music, I'm gonna get a strike, won't I? You can do it on Twitch, but you as long as you don't do it in the VOD, so I guess that counts out YouTube. You still have your Razer Naga? I never did that. I'm like, it sounds like a really weird thing to say, but my left hand got really good at finding all the keys. In fact, it still carries on, like, because I'm not that great at typing, right, as I'm sure you've seen from my tutorials. My left hand knows where all the keys are, but my right hand is like, you know, an 80-year-old typing, like 2 fingers. It's really bad. What's the best riff you can play on your guitar? Depends what you define as the best riff. I don't know. I don't play guitar anymore, really. I have 6 guitars, but I don't play anymore. I used to play a lot as a kid. I played in a band not that long ago as well. It's better to write bots for WoW than play WoW. Yeah. Give you some extra money. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I never had the urge to build bots. Do you know what I did though? Like one of my first, before I'd even knew what programming was. Remember, anyone who's about my age will probably know when we used to have CDs for games, and you used to have to put the CD in the computer for the game to boot. Well, quite often the exe of the game would just have a check to see if the CD was in the drive, and I followed loads of guides, and I was able to like change one of the executables and just comment out the line that checked for the CD in the drive so it would play without it. That's when games were like, they were like 30 quid then, and this is like in the 90s, the late 90s. I was a kid, I had no money. I was at the mercy of Christmas and birthdays. Lua, what a pain. Do you need to simulate human speed when scraping because it's done by the speed? So I've read about this. I've never come across it where mouse movements and keyboards being simulated has been an issue. You will find, from my experience, speed becomes an issue because you're making too many requests from the same IP, and they know it and they can do something about it. Or it becomes a problem where, oh shit, I've lost my train of thought. Sorry. That's annoying. I'm sure I had something really interesting to say. Sorry, that's completely Lua script. Yeah, I used to have all your add-ons, and you'd have to click through all the Lua errors. Oh, yeah, don't care. It still works. Sorry, Jamiro. I had something really interesting to. Well, probably wasn't now. I had something to say on that, but it's just completely escaped my brain. Sorry. Maybe it'll come back to me. Maybe not. I'll keep going, and if it does, it does. I don't think it was that important. Otherwise, I'd have said it straight away. So, going back to a previous conversation, there's cheers, Craig. Thanks for chatting, and thanks for the ideas about stuff. I appreciate that, and thanks for sharing your COBOL experience. Maybe when we do a project, I'll get you to write it in COBOL. Thanks for dropping by. Give me a link to a page. I don't think you can paste a link. Try it. I'll give you an arbitrary answer. Included your early content. Thanks. It's gonna be, it's like those things, you're only ever known for the worst thing that you did. That'd be like, hey, sucks. Look at his videos from 3 years ago. No, I'm joking. Thanks, mate. Thanks, I appreciate it. And as I said, thanks for your contributions in the chat. Really helps. There are a few papers that look at mouse movements to detect if it's bot or human. Yeah, I don't think that's probably what I read. I don't know if I subscribe to that, and if I think it's there. I think it exists, but I don't know if it's that common or common at all, to be honest. Because who can be asked to do that? What's the point? Right? But it's possible. I just don't know if it. I don't know if it's worth talking. If it's worth really considering for the general use cases. Yeah, you can't. I don't know how you can. I don't know how you can get it to me. How can you get it to me? I don't think I can't message you or anything. I don't know. Have him email you? Yeah, I'll have to tell him to go find my email address. And then it'll be really lame. And we'll both just be sat here like, oh, this was worth it, wasn't it? I'm only joking. Probably going to hop off soon, but I'm happy to. CSS. Okay. That's interesting. I'd need to start at the beginning though, because I'd need to make sure that data is actually going to be there. How long will be on? Nearly 2 hours. Well then, you want to email it to me or DM it to me on Twitter or something? If you can be asked. If you can't be bothered, don't worry. It's not a big deal. I normally only go for an hour. It's only been 2, but I'm feeling all right. Cheers, Jack. Does that mean you're going, or I don't know? Anyway, thanks for chatting. Would you guys find it useful if I did some streams where I looked at viewer submitted sites and gave my advice on them? Would that be useful? I could do that. I could run like under the best way to get people to give me that information. I don't really want to hand out my email address. Same email address for use for like business and stuff. So I wonder I could do like submit a form or something, create something, use a Google form maybe. Google form, yeah. You said it, bud. I could go through them. I definitely like to do more streaming. I'd like to make it more interactive for people rather than just sit here watching me and listen to me chat bollocks for a few hours. So I could definitely do that. I could ask, do you think I would get many people that wanted to? Because what I want is interesting. What I want is interesting problems, right? I don't want 100 people, or I don't know. If 100 people submitted something on the form, I guess that's doing pretty well. I wouldn't want everyone to submit fucking Instagram and LinkedIn, because I'm just not interested in that. It's World of Tanks website. Which part though? And do you have to log in? Because if you have to log in, it's a bit more difficult for me. Games like this quite often have an API, you know. Oh, okay, I see. Hang on then. Hang on. Live coding doesn't have to go perfect. Yeah, no, I'm totally on board with that, and I'm more than happy. I'm not afraid of people seeing me fail to do stuff or seeing like things not working. That's not a problem. I know how I solve problems. I look at them and I click around and I don't say anything. I just think that'd be really dull. Not from a live stream point of view, but have you seen the videos of Algo Vibes and how he shortens coding time things take? No, I haven't. Who's Algo Vibes? Alright, I'll check that out. Right, how can I not dox myself and move this over here. You guys can go over here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to move. Let's move this back. probably move myself over. Let's swap these around. Right in the right place? Any nation? Oh, this. You mean this table? Alright. Okay. So the first thing I do is, I mean, this just smells of JavaScript to me, right? Because you can click on all this stuff. It's not here, see? This is the word I'm searching for. So there's nothing in the source. So let's have a look and see if they dump it in. You see this? This is like the part of the JSON data that they're going to use to construct the JavaScript table. It's all filtering. Okay, there's nothing there, so I will do this. You probably can't see this because it might be a bit small. Just trying to keep everything on the page is a bit more difficult. So let's find, okay. So this data bind thing is bear with me. Oh. Yeah, this is we can't do this the normal way. Everyone is forward in the script. I know, I'm doing it. This is exactly what I said. Like, this is exactly what I said. I see a problem, I just stare at it and my brain's going, well, my mouth's not going to go at the same time. Oh, this is Chrome based. I don't like Chrome based. I'm using a different browser, so yeah, you can't find out all my personal details. So obviously just load up Firefox with my bank details and everything like that. Where's word wrap in this thing? I need word wrap. I could move the chat, but then I can't read it. Okay. What happens when we click on this then? Nothing? It must be in here then. Okay, there's banner stuff. Where's it coming from then? Where's it coming from? Clear it all. So this just returns a document, right? This is what we're looking at. Oh, this is setup. This is filters. No, this is it. I missed it. Because it says filters, by filters. That means the data that's come by the filter that we've put in, right? Which is up here somewhere. Where's the word wrap? There it is. So let's look for, why isn't this one at the top? Let's find, can you even see this? Right, let me move you guys over here. Let's just zoom right the fuck in. Right, you can see this, right? Oh god, that's awful. So this is the response. This is classic API response. Status okay, which means, you know, it worked. But here's the data, and here's the data in a list. So if I move, I'll tell you what, I can't get rid of myself for a second. There we go. So this is what gets put into the table, I assume. So let's just find this one for the moment. Okay, there's a few entries, but one of them's got, I don't know what all this stuff is. 300, 50, 666, 38, 66, that's all the data. So there should be, oh, here we go. Here's the parameters. So each one of these relates to each one of this. This is just a classic API response, right? So that just matches that. So this data is what's getting put into this table, right? So it's basically what you need to do is just get this. If you get this, I can't, I'm sure in Firefox you can collapse this. Let's look at the headers. So we're posting post request to this URL by filters, request headers. Don't care, don't care, don't care. This will probably be important. As a user agent, may or may not be important. Hey, see, I've started looking at code, right? And you guys have just stopped talking. Everyone's left. See? This is what I mean. I haven't tried the API because I have no idea how to use it. Okay, so my most popular video on my channel goes through this. So if you were to just load that as a URL, you should get the data structure. Yeah. Well, it depends, because where's the rest of the request headers? I don't know if this will actually work, because I've got a feeling that, yeah, see, we're missing headers when we do that. So you're going to need to get all the headers as well. What ones did it say we were missing? Language one. That's interesting. That's not normally that important. We need to basically replicate this request. We need to replicate this request. You can see it's got all this stuff in it, which is just looks horrible. Newbie session. Hey, what are you trying to say? CSRF token. Yeah. This cookie may or may not be important because we've not logged into anything, so it might not matter. I have to go here first, and let me have to hide my stuff, man. I need to this is where I need like to do my business stuff on, either do my business stuff on a different machine or do my do my streaming on a different machine. I can't accidentally leak stuff. Oh, I've lost my chat now. Where's it gone? There it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to load up Insomnia, and I'm just going to copy this over, and we'll have a look and we'll see what comes back. You just bought a Mac, right? Yeah, I did, yeah. But I don't want to... That's your... Yeah, I know, but I don't have to... I don't want to plug all of my audio and stuff into it. Okay, as I thought, if you guys had seen this that I just loaded up, it would be... I'd have a bad time. Okay, we can go in this folder. No one cares about this one. Actually, let's create a new one. I'm just creating a new thing immediately. Hang on. Request collection. Great. Okay, you can come back now. Yeah, so when you start learning how to build web applications, especially in Django, it just tells you and it just says you just put this in. This is your CSRF. In other ones, you have to do a little bit more to it. That it basically stops. Yeah, I like as it says. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this. Curl. I'm going to create a new request. I'm just going to paste the whole lot in. Can resolve hostname. Fantastic. Oh, where did it go wrong then? That's we're posting to there. That's all our headers. All looks good to me. Can resolve hostname. The last web app I built and maintained was in 2004. So we must have had CSRF then. Oh dear, I didn't get back what I was expecting. Why did I get this? Let's just copy his curl. This should work. What's wrong? I swear I do this all the time. Start binning some of this stuff off. See if we can get a different error. Query? No. Oh dear. This has just gone so badly. Basically, I would need to look into why that doesn't work, but normally that just works, and when you hit that, you get the response back that we were looking at before. You just go from there and you just copy it out, and you're just happy. But it didn't work, and I don't have that energy to look into why at the moment. But I'm going to, because that's annoyed me. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to look at this tomorrow when I wake up. I've got a bit more energy, because that's tedious. That should have worked fine. Cool. Right. On that disappointing note, I'm going to scoot. But it was cool. Thanks for everyone to dropping by. And I think we're going to move. It's always like that when someone asks. I know. That's why, like, you know how hard it is to people will actually watch you work. Anyway, I really want to push forward with the stream project, but it works when he leaves. Yeah, it works on my machine tomorrow in the morning, so you know it's your fault, it's not mine. I really like the idea of the stream project. I think I'm going to try and get as many people involved as I can, and we'll build something and we'll do stuff, and it should be good fun. Yeah, that's my plan. That'd be great. And also the like what I just did, but better than that. So yeah, Dreamer, you're out. You can't submit anymore because that was annoying. Didn't work. But like submitting different things I can give an opinion on, which might be quite interesting, and also code reviews, which I think might be quite cool. In fact, that's why I need a Discord, so people can post them there. 100%. That makes total sense. All right, I'll set that up at the weekend. I'm going to ask for help. So if any of you are about and you see, I'll community post it, and I'll tweet it as well. So follow me for my once a week tweets on Twitter, JHNWR. I'll solve it, mate. I just won't solve it right now, because I don't know why it didn't work. Yeah, look out for the Discord link coming real soon. And if you want to help in any way with it, i.e. if you use Discord a lot, or if you want to help moderate or stuff, then just hit me up when the link goes out, because I would love help. But yeah, thanks very much for everyone for coming. I really appreciate the contributions from you guys, because without them this wouldn't happen. Basically, this whole 2 hours has relied on community conversation, so without that it would be really boring. So thank you very much for everyone. Thanks to all the new faces that I've seen and the old ones. Christoph, thank you. Thanks very much. And I will see you guys the next time, which will hopefully be really soon. So thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.